Hey, I was getting ready to finish up the video on my welder upgrade, and my phone blew up. And it's kind of a weird story. I'd set it down on top of one of the boxes on the little cart I had, and all of a sudden the box just decided it wanted to fly off upside down and land on the screen of the phone. And next thing you know, I pick it up and the screen's all shattered, and I kind of put the end of my videos for that day. So I got my phone in yesterday, got it set up, and I have to finish the video on the welder upgrade. Well, here's the welder I've been using for a while. We originally got it because we want to do a little bit of welding. We weren't planning on doing much welding, only a bracket here or there, and it worked okay for that. But as soon as I started getting a little more extensive welding projects, my son he does fences and was putting in a big gate, wanted a metal frame for it, so I used it and had all kinds of trouble with the original clamp that come on it. You can see this clamp here is a nice big heavy one. The one originally come on it was like a 6-foot cable. It looked like a battery jumper cable one. The power cord was actually a little undersized for what it should be. The MIG gun that come with it was basically kind of a terrible one, so I went out to HTP and bought a longer cable for the ground, put that on. Now I got 10 feet. Before I had to move the welder around because the ground cable was so short and the gun lead was so short they couldn't move very far apart. Well, now I got 10 foot on the ground and probably another 10 foot on the, you can see how far it goes down here, and so I replaced the gun and it worked a little better. And then of course, you know, it's only like a $250 welder. And then what I was having is, what I'd have is right in here, you can see a little bit, let me get the camera there, that little inside shielding. And what'll happen is if it gets a little binding, that would pull inside of here. And I think I had the tension too tight, because what it do is just start bungling up the wire right in here. And so I just decided, you know, as much welding as I'm doing this trailer repair and that gate, and it seemed like I'm always getting something I need to do. So I went out and got me a different welder. I was kind of looking at the Everlast. They seem to have a pretty decent looking one. ESAB and Miller. The ESAB's the Rebel AC/DC, and then the Miller 220. That'll do AC and DC TIG, so I can do aluminum if I need to. And I was looking at some reviews, and the Everlast just didn't seem like it was a lot of support. You know, one guy says he contacted them, they couldn't be bothered to talk to him, and everybody talked, just it's hard to get parts for it. So then I was looking at ESAB and Miller, and I contacted the local Matheson dealer, which used to be Linweld, which I've been buying my welding stuff from them for, geez, close to 20 years now, and talked to him a little bit, and he says, well, they don't have any ESABs on hand, but the Miller is pretty good. And the Miller that I got has a lot of automatic settings that'll do MIG, TIG, and stick. So I got lots of options. This one here is only MIG. I'd have to pull out the stick welder over to their house. I don't have anything wired up. And nice thing about this new one is it'll run on 110. A little limited welding, but I only need to weld up to 8th inch on the trailer, so it'll handle that. It's kind of at the top end, but it'll handle it. And so I can do it in MIG or stick, depending on which one I feel like doing. Now I gotta go set up the new one, and I got myself a new jacket. I used to have, well, I still have it, but I have a nice auto darkening helmet that I use in all my welding classes. And then you can see it, great big thick heavy coat. And like yesterday when I was trying to weld, I was sweating in the t-shirt and then have to put on a big heavy coat. So when I got the welder, I just got me a little bit lighter one. It doesn't provide quite as much protection, but for MIG it's probably going to be just fine. So I'll pick up next one here. I'll pause this video, and then I'll pick up when I have the Miller out and ready to go. And one nice thing about that is I guess I have to practice with it, or I guess I get to practice with it. I want to get familiar with it before I try and weld on the trailer. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I'll pause it and pick it up later. And just a little update on welders. Here's my new welder I got. It's a Miller Matic or Multimatic 220 AC and DC. It'll do AC and DC on TIG, so you have the option of doing aluminum. Nice about is you have your ground port down here, and then there's either your stick or your TIG. And nice about is if you just pull the gun. I had the stick hooked up for a little while and had that set up, and I grabbed the MIG torch to tack something down, and it just switched right over to doing MIG. I didn't have to change any settings or anything. Kind of nice to have the auto function. You just tell what process you're using, and then how thick the material is, and what size wire you're using. The nice thing about this one over the other one I had is it'll take the big spools, and it has a nice adjustment over here. I was able to get it adjusted. It'll take the 0.023 as well as the 3.0 and 3.5, and as well as flux wire in here. There's a connector down over here that I can put on for the power for 220. It's amazing how much this is able to do on 110, because I don't have a 220 set up yet. So I was able to do more with this one than I could with the other one. The other one was a 30 amp 220. This one takes a 50 amp 220, or to run on 110. If I can get around here in the back here, I'll show you the connector where it plugs in a regular 15 amp outlet. And it's amazing that how much more capability this one had of welding than the other one running off 220. And I was able to, instead of fighting the welder, trying to get it to do what I wanted to do, this one had so much power, I had to figure out how to weld a little bit differently with it. And on 110, it outdid the other one by far. Well worth the investment. When you buy one of the cheap ones, or you buy a good one, these are about 20 times more than the cheap ones, but they do so much more, and they work. I was able to see, my welds is like, I need practice welding. My welds, they didn't look the best. Or the other one, it didn't work so slow. My welds they were probably a little bit better, but it took me for a long time to figure out how to use it to get a decent weld. This one here, I found I was doing 1/8 inch material, and I had to crank it down even on 110 because it was putting out too much power. So nice thing, you can just dust it down. You can dial each settings individually, and there's some guys, real good welders out there that go over how this welder works, and they have a real good reviews on them. But I'm quite happy with this welder. It does everything that I want it to do, and more. I wanted to start doing some TIG welding, and I can do it with this. I tried using the stick and with a 3/32 rod, and I was going through a rod about every inch or so. I couldn't feed it into the material quick enough, and so I just used the MIG, so I don't have to keep changing the sticks so often. So just take a look, and if you're looking at getting a welder, I'd recommend this one. I looked at a couple different ones, and this is the one that kind of won out. Not only that, is it was available, and supplies are available for it real easily too. Thanks for watching, and just subscribe so you can catch any more of my videos.